Hi boys and girls, today we're going to talk about the most famous member of the raptor family, the bald eagle. Let's go ahead and take a look at those 5 boxes at the top of our screen. The first box has the silhouette of a raptor. I have 2 red arrows pointing to the bird. The first red arrow is actually pointing to that sharp hooked beak that we can see, and the second red arrow is pointing to the body, a solid body, a body that is sitting upright. I can't tell because I have no colors as to what raptor I'm looking at, but I do know based on that silhouette I'm looking at a raptor. And in box 2 we have a picture of the sharp hooked beak that all raptors have. And in the case of the bald eagle, his beak is yellow. Next we move on to long sharp talons and strong feet. In the case of the bald eagle, once again, his are yellow. And then we learned that raptors are tree nesters. They like to nest very high up in trees. And lastly, the bald eagle is diurnal. Most raptors are diurnal, however, we will learn about a few that are nocturnal. In Pennsylvania, it's possible to see both the bald eagle and golden eagle, 2 very large, impressive birds of prey. The golden eagle is a regular migrant during fall and spring, but the bald eagle is making a strong comeback throughout the Commonwealth and is found here year-round. Still, if you spot one of these birds, consider yourself very lucky. They are still uncommon. So boys and girls, our takeaway from that first paragraph is the bald eagle does not migrate. Eagles are big. Their wingspan is up to 8 feet. When standing, they measure about 2 feet from head to tail and weigh up to 14 pounds. Compare this to an adult great horned owl weighing perhaps 3 pounds. Like all birds of prey, the female is larger than the male. All right, let's take a look at that size, wingspan of up to 8 feet. The first person that comes to mind when I see 8 feet is Mr. Uchef. I think Mr. Uchef is probably about 6 feet. So if we're talking about the wingspan of a bald eagle, we're probably talking about a wingspan as wide as Mr. Uchef is tall. And in fact, if we put 2 rulers on top of Mr. Uchef's head, we'd have about 8 feet. So that's an extremely long wingspan. Measures up to 2 feet head to tail. All right, 2 feet, as you know, is 2 rulers, topped one on top of the other, and sometimes they can get closer to 3 feet. So here we have that very large wingspan, about the size of Mr. Uchef's height, and then about 2 rulers tall. And then the bald eagle weighs 14 pounds. 14 pounds is equivalent to about 3 bags of sugar. If you're wondering how much a bag of sugar weighs, it's about 5 pounds, and you can check with your mom to see if you have one in your cabinet. She could probably show you. 14 pounds is very heavy for a bird, and so that shows that the bald eagle is a very large bird. And once again, in the raptor family, coloring is usually similar between male and female, but generally the female is larger than the male. The bald eagle is our national bird. Benjamin Franklin had wanted the wild turkey to be the symbol of our country, but his wish never came to be. Instead, our nation's emblem is that magnificent black bird with a spotless white head and tail. Many people have mistaken the black and white osprey for a bald eagle until they see a bald eagle. Once you see this huge, soaring bird soaring overhead, you will never misidentify the 2 birds again. What's the difference? Well, if you take a look at both of those birds, the bald eagle on the left, the osprey on the right, you can tell that their beak color is different, their leg color is different, their chest color is different. An osprey's chest and wings are white when viewing from underneath. An eagle's chest and wings are brown when viewing from underneath. So when I say viewing from underneath, I'm talking about the bird flying over top of us. The bald eagle is not bald. Historically, bald meant white. Mature bald eagles have white heads and tails, contrasting a dark body. Immature bald eagles are mottled brown all over their body, sometimes resembling golden eagles. At about 5 years of age, the bald eagle molts into its adult plumage. Both sexes and the immature birds have large yellow beaks and feet. And down below, I've included a picture of that large yellow beak and those large yellow feet and those very sharp black talons. I also put a circle around the feathers in the second picture on the top row. I did that because as I looked closely at those feathers, I realized that they are mottled, which means they're a mixture of browns and whites and beige, light brown. So I suspect that those are the feet of an immature. Let's zoom in a little bit on those beautiful little eaglets. They're so cute being fed by their mother, and they have those characteristic yellow feet. Their beaks do have some yellow on them. That will fade a little bit and come back a little bit, but the feet will definitely stay yellow. And then next to them we have two juvenile eagles. And if you look closely at both of them, you can see that mottled feathers that we were talking about, that mixture of an off-white and a light brown and a dark brown. You can see the very distinctive yellow feet, and you can see a little bit of yellow on both of their beaks. Never far from water, except when migrating, bald eagles soar on broad wings that they rarely flap. Their silhouette is flat, their flight silhouette is flat. Imagine two oars sticking straight out at right angles to a canoe. The most important thing I want you to realize, boys and girls, is when a bald eagle is flying, the bald eagle spreads its feathers, its wings, straight out from its body. He doesn't angle them in any way, they are straight out. Almost 90% of the bald eagle's diet is fish, although they will occasionally take another bird or mammal. They will also feed on carrion and are not above stealing fish from osprey. Bald eagles fish from a perch or in flight, using their superb eyesight to spot a fish at the water's surface. As they fly down to the water, they push their feet forward and prepare to grasp their slippery prey with their talons. They'll hold the food with their feet, using their heavy beak to tear the food into bite-sized pieces. So first let's zoom in on that flight silhouette, and you can see how almost flat those wings are. And that is how you would see a bald eagle up in the sky. He'll do a little bit of flapping, very rarely. What he actually does is he soars on air currents that are coming up, and that's what keeps him in the air. And then here are three bald eagles perched in different locations. Their perch is quite high, providing a very clear view of the ground or water below, thanks in part to their superb eyesight. So let's take a look. There's that first eagle. He is perched on a tree looking for something. The bald eagle in the middle is perched on a street light of some sort. And the third bald eagle looks as though he may have found something down on the ground. All right, and a fun fact, bald eagles can see in two different directions at the same time. That's true. One eye can look straight ahead while the other eye looks to the side. So they have incredible vision. Here we see an eagle pushing his feet forward as it closes in on a prey. Note the brown underwing color and the white tail in full display. And I have an arrow pointing to that brown underwing and that white tail. They look beautiful. And he is just about to catch himself a fish. You can see how he lunges those feet forward. That's the position he's going to hold as he grabs the fish, and then he will swing those feet backward, holding on tight to that fish. Bald eagles engage in an impressive aerial display, with the birds locking talons, diving and somersaulting through the sky. They will mate for life or until one dies. Boys and girls, they do an incredible display. They lock their talons, they twist around, they look like they're falling from the sky. I do not know how they manage this aerial display, but it is amazing. And I will try to find a video to show you exactly what it looks like. I zoomed in on the talons holding tight with one another just to show you that they actually do that. The bald eagle pair build a huge stick nest called an eyrie. Eyries are placed in a large tree or on a cliff near large lakes, rivers, and the ocean. Nests can be as wide as 5 feet in diameter and 2 feet deep. Some nests that have been used repeatedly can become so large that the tree branches supporting it collapse. Eagles' nests can weigh as much as 2 tons or 4,000 pounds. How does a bald eagle's nest get so big? Bald eagles return to the same nesting area each year and often to the same nest where they enjoy adding on for a little extra room. So we can go ahead and zoom in. Look at the size of that nest. That is definitely not a nest that was built over one season. And if we zoom in even closer, we can see a juvenile up there with the adult. Juveniles stay with the adults until they're quite big. And here are two more large Aries that have been added on throughout the years. So again, let's zoom in on this first one. Amazing. Unbelievable to think they can build something that large. And then, of course, this one right here on the left is massive. I can only imagine what that must weigh, and somehow those branches are continuing to support it. In early spring, the female will lay 1 to 3 plain white eggs over several days. Incubation begins with the first egg, resulting in chicks of various sizes in the same nest. Both parents feed the young, but if food is scarce, the youngest chick may not survive if it has to compete with its larger siblings. By 6 to 7 weeks, the chicks begin to walk around the nest, flapping and exercising their wings until they begin to fly at 3 months. Again, let's go ahead and zoom in on some pictures. One eaglet has already hatched here in the first picture. We're waiting on a second eaglet to come out. In the middle here, we can see a mother eagle looking very closely at her eggs. I think she's anxiously waiting for them to hatch. And in this third picture, eaglets need to be aggressive when looking for food. So boys and girls, the more aggressive the eaglet is, the more food that eaglet is going to get. So it's very important that they're aggressive. And down below, we've got some juveniles. Look at those big feet sitting on that juvenile. They look a little awkward, but we all know that bird's going to grow right into them. Okay, we see a couple more here in the middle and in this third picture. All right, the tag on the eagle's foot in the picture to the far right, that's the picture with the 3 eaglets, the 3 juveniles, suggests to me that these immature eagles are either being rehabilitated or part of a hacking program. And I'll show you what I mean. If you look at that spot that I circled, that particular eagle has been tagged, and I imagine the other 2 have been tagged as well. So they're either part of a hacking program that I'm going to tell you about, or perhaps they're being rehabilitated. All right, I included this picture because it is so clear and so beautiful. So let's go ahead first and zoom in on those little eaglets. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. Looking there, seeing what's going on. And here we go. Let's take a look. There's that beautiful white tail we talked about. Beautiful spotless white head, that hooked yellow beak, those sharp talons, big feet, and all of those brown feathers that make up the wings and the body. All right, that's a great look at our bald eagle. Unfortunately, the bald eagle population plummeted in the 1950s and 1960s as a result of a pesticide toxin. This toxin was sprayed onto the farmer's field and crops and created a few problems. Number 1, insects were killed by the pesticide. Birds and small rodents ingested the pesticide-contaminated insects. Number 2, as the crops were watered or rained upon, much of the pesticide mixed with the water and seeped into the groundwater or became runoff. The groundwater and runoff made their way into the waterways, streams, ponds, lakes, and rivers. And number 3, fish in the local waterways ingested the pesticide, and bald eagles ingested the infected fish. This chain of events, known as the water cycle, had inadvertently contaminated waterways with a pesticide. Due to the dramatic drop in the number of bald eagles in the United States, coupled with their slow reproductive rate, the bald eagle went from threatened species to endangered species very quickly. So these toxins had a very negative impact on the bald eagle population. And I'm going to try and explain why it happened that way. All right, let's define a slow reproductive rate. Most female birds begin laying eggs by the age of 1 or 2 years old. Bald eagles begin laying eggs around the age of 5 years old. In other words, female bald eagles begin laying eggs 3 to 4 years later than the average bird. Let's compare the bald eagle to one of our study species, the hooded merganser. The hooded merganser has an aquatic diet as well and would be affected by the same toxin that affected the bald eagle years ago. However, unlike the bald eagle, the merganser's population did not struggle to recover. Let's see if we can figure out why. The hooded merganser lays her first clutch at age 2. She lays 12 eggs, which is an average-sized clutch for a merganser. At age 3, 4, and 5, she lays the same sized clutch. Within the first 5 years of the hooded merganser's life, she has laid 48 eggs. Now let's see what the bald eagle does. The bald eagle, on the other hand, lays her first clutch at age 5. She lays 3 eggs, an average-sized clutch for a bald eagle. Within the first 3 years of the bald eagle's life, she has laid 3 eggs. So you see, the hooded merganser, by the age of 5, has laid 48 eggs, and the bald eagle, by the age of 5, has laid 3. There's a very big difference, and it takes a long time for the bald eagle to build up its population. Bald eagle would actually be about 21 years old by the time they had laid 48 eggs. The bald eagle is repopulating her species at a much slower rate than the hooded merganser. As you can see, based on the example in the previous slide, a slow reproductive rate and a small clutch size, meaning the number of eggs laid at one time, coupled with the competition among eaglets within the same nest for food after birth, created a significant challenge for the bald eagle population to overcome. But with a little help from some friends, the bald eagle population rebounded. In an effort to reestablish the bald eagle population in Pennsylvania, the PA Game Commission began removing eaglets from nests in Canada and then raising and releasing them in our state through a program called hacking. Hacking refers to caring for a bird in a semi-wild condition until it can fend for itself. Hacking programs work quite well. The number of bald eagle pairs in Pennsylvania has increased significantly. And this picture right here, that's part of a hacking facility. As we read in the earlier slide, bald eagles are loyal to their nesting territory. By relocating the bald eagles to a hacking facility in Pennsylvania, we were able to ensure our state's increased regrowth in the bald eagle's population. So let's zoom in on a couple of those buildings here. This is the first one. Inside of those little boxes are nests for the eagles. Here are 3 eagles sitting inside one of those boxes with their nest. And down below, once they get a little bit bigger, as you could see from the picture up above, the door becomes open, or the curtain, it looks like, is lifted up, and they're able to fly out. They're still not flying off. They're staying close, but he's perched right here, right by the opening of the nest. And then lastly, here's a view from inside, looking out. So this is what the bald eagle sees. Everything's designed to be as natural as possible. Bald eagles can live up to 30 years or longer, but since they don't begin to breed until around 5 years of age, their reproductive rate is slow. A slow reproductive rate means it would be difficult to rebuild the eagle population if anything should threaten it. And boys and girls, just for a brief second, I want to say we have another study species that does not begin to reproduce until the age of 5 years. And that, my friends, is the hellbender. So the hellbender would be in the same situation as the bald eagle. That's why we have to be so very careful with things like loss of habitat. We know that it's the leading cause of extinction for wildlife population. We cannot let our guard down now. Eagles are not normally preyed upon by other animals. They are at the top of the food chain. They are top dog in the bird community. Unfortunately, though, people have wreaked havoc on their populations. In addition to the pesticide problems of the 50s and 60s, some eagles are still shot illegally, some are electrocuted when landing on power lines, and some have lost their habitat as a result of industrial, agricultural, and residential development. And still, there is good news. Since this Envirothon article was written, bald eagles have been removed from the threatened species list. So the good news is we are doing things right. We need to be better at it, but we are doing things right, and that is always a positive. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can sum up what we just learned about the bald eagle. Let's begin with number 1. Adult bald eagles have white heads, bald meaning white. Number 2, dark brown wing and chest feathers. And that is true for the adult. This is the adult plumage. 3, a large wingspan, 6 to 8 feet. Their wingspan is around the height of Mr. Uchef. Number 4, they have large, strong yellow feet and long, sharp black talons. And a little fun fact to go along with that, a bald eagle's talon strength is 100 times stronger than that of a human hand. So that is tremendously strong. Number 5, our bald eagle has white tail feathers. So when he's flying in the air and he spreads out those beautiful brown wings, it uncovers these perfectly white tail feathers. Number 6, females lay 1 to 3 eggs, and that is beginning at the age of 5. Number 7, 90% of the eagle's diet is fish. He does eat small mammals and some carrion. And for boys and girls that don't know what carrion is like the dead animals that we see on the side of the road. Number 8, sharp yellow hooked beak. Absolutely, a very sharp, very strong yellow hooked beak. Number 9, superb eyesight. Eyes set forward in the eagle's face, giving the bird binocular vision. Binocular vision is what we have. The eagle has the same thing. I did tell you earlier in a fun fact that they can actually make one eye look forward, one eye look to the side, so that's an incredible thing. And the other thing about a bald eagle's eye, they have the ability to actually differentiate color even better than humans, which means that they can see a rabbit in a field from about a mile away, something we as humans could not do. Number 10, females are larger than males. Number 11, wings extend straight out from the eagle's body, so his flying formation is flat. And number 12, bald eagles build large nests called eyries, Eyries, eyries. All right, boys and girls, well, that is our most famous raptor. I hope you enjoyed learning about the bald eagle. See you in class.